Hey, it's David, and I hope you're doing well. I want to start doing something on a somewhat regular basis called enNovo Radio AI to talk a little bit about what's going on in the AI world, which I am deeply involved in. So today is the first day. It's Happy St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2026. And this is the Tuesday briefing where we break down the past 48 hours in artificial intelligence and help you make sense of what it all means for the products you're building and the programs you're running. So we've got a packed episode. Let's dig in. First, let's start with the big picture. Nvidia's GTC conference wrapped up this week in San Jose, and the announcements there are still reverberating across the entire AI ecosystem. The headline is this: Nvidia unveiled Nematron 3 Super, 120 billion parameter hybrid mixture of experts model built for complex multi-agent applications. Everything from software development to now, speaking of OpenAI, GPT-4 has been in the wild for about 2 weeks, and the early data is interesting. The thinking variant scored 83% on the GDP Val benchmark. That's at or above human expert level on economically valuable tasks. The API supports over a million tokens of context, but the real story isn't the benchmarks. The real story is the release cadence. Major AI labs are now shipping new models and significant updates every 2 to 3 weeks. For product managers, this creates a genuine strategic question. Do you build tight integrations with a specific model, or do you architect for model agnostic flexibility? One perspective says this is a narrative problem as much as a technical one. How do you message your AI products' capabilities when the underlying models are changing every few weeks? The answer really is that you stop marketing the model and start marketing the workflow, the outcome your product delivers, not the engine under the hood. Now, let's shift to something that should be on every program manager's radar: the regulatory landscape. The FTC policy statement on how the FTC Act applies to AI was due on March 11th, last week. The Secretary of Commerce was required to publish an evaluation identifying state AI laws that conflict with federal policy by the same date. We're in a window right now where the federal government is actively trying to preempt state AI regulation. There's an executive order called Ensuring a National Policy Framework for Artificial Intelligence, and that's pushing for what this administration calls a minimally burdensome national standard. But the reality is a bit messier. Colorado's AI Act is already in effect, and California has multiple AI transparency laws on the books. Whether the federal preemption actually holds up really is far from settled. And so, for product teams, the practical takeaway is this: don't assume federal preemption will simplify your compliance obligations anytime soon. If your product touches hiring decisions, credit scoring, healthcare recommendations, or any high stakes domain, you still have to plan for a patchwork of state requirements. Your program manager should be mapping which state laws apply to your user base now, not later. On the enterprise front, there's a trend that the AI writer in me and the AI user in me finds fascinating: the shadow AI problem. And it's getting real. It's real in my organization. A survey of technology. I do that. I spin up a good bit of AI projects and tools, and they all run on my local and within in a controlled environment. But there are others that maybe not in my organization, but in other organizations that are doing the same thing, and those data leaks and IP exposure are very real. This is really is a story about audience engagement. If you're a product manager at an enterprise software company, shadow AI is actually a massive product signal. People are going around your product to use AI tools directly, and that tells you where the demand is. Instead of fighting it, the smart play is to channel the energy into sanctioned features within your existing program. Now, Eli Lilly gave us a glimpse of where specialized AI infrastructure is going. They inaugurated LilyPod, which is the pharmaceutical industry's most powerful AI supercomputer, and it's built on over 1,000 Blackwell Ultra GPUs, delivering more than 9,000 petaflops. Their goal is to cut the typical 10-year drug development timeline in half. That's not an incremental improvement. That's a fundamental restructuring of an entire industry's timeline, and it reinforces a pattern we're seeing across multiple sectors. The companies investing most aggressively in AI infrastructure are the ones with the most expensive, time-consuming workflows they're trying to compress. And finally, let's touch on Apple for a minute. Everybody uses Siri. I use Siri. If you have an iPhone, you end up using Siri. That AI-powered Siri overhaul is reportedly launching alongside iOS 26.4 this month. And it's going to feature a on-screen awareness and cross-app integration powered by Google's Gemini model. For product managers building iOS apps, this changes the interaction model. Users will increasingly expect to accomplish tasks through Siri that today require opening your app directly. The Apple-Google partnership here is worth noting from a comprehensive dynamics perspective. Apple chose Gemini over its own models to do the heavy lifting. That tells you something about the build versus buy calculus, even at the world's most valuable company. Today, this is your today's briefing from enNovo Radio AI. The thought line through this week is pretty clear. The AI industry is shifting from capability demonstrations to infrastructure and deployment at scale. The models are getting better on rapid cycles. The tooling around them is maturing fast, and the regulatory environment is in flux. For product and program managers, the strategic question isn't whether to use AI anymore, obviously. It's how fast can you build the organizational muscle to adapt as the landscape keeps moving. Thanks for listening to this inaugural episode of enNovo Radio AI. We'll be back later on this week, hopefully on Friday, with the next update. Until then, stay sharp, stay curious, and keep building. Have a great day.